Full-time service is a special way to serve Jehovah with a joyful heart. But what happens to your joy when you suddenly face a serious trial? Jay and Elaine Humer, you have been through this. Thank you for being here today to share your personal experience with us. You've enjoyed full-time service for over 40 years, many of those years in the traveling work.
Yes, we've had a wonderful privilege of both pioneering and serving the traveling work for 30 years now. And we really feel Jehovah's been very kind to allow us to serve him this way.
I remember when I first filled out my application for regular pioneering back in 1972, and I thought, this was my gift to Jehovah, my sacrifice. But after the many years of the blessings and the privileges and how Jehovah helped us through some very difficult times, what I thought was my gift to Jehovah turned out to be his gift to me.
This is very encouraging, thank you. Now, you mentioned difficult times. Is there anything in particular you think of?
One of the hardest things that we faced was about 20 years ago when we experienced 7 deaths in just a 6-month period.
This really was difficult because 5 of those 7 were family members. Jay's father died, my Aunt Elma, who brought me into the truth, died, and my father died. So it just seemed one layer on top of another.
We can hardly imagine how you must have felt. Now, after such a Job-like experience, what did you do in order to regain your joy and happiness?
Well, it didn't occur automatically. We kept focused, of course, on serving the friends and working with them, and that kept our thoughts from constantly circling around our losses. We also thought about the resurrection. We focused on the resurrection hope, and as we did, it became like the helmet of salvation, protecting our hearts and our thoughts from the grief that we were going through. And then, of course, we shared our hope with others, and that helped us to have it more deeply engraved on our own hearts as well.
Yeah, thank you. So now, may we learn from you what you did in practical terms?
The most difficult of all was about 4 years after that, when our beloved nephew Christopher was killed in an auto accident at the age of 17. He and his parents had lived with us in the same house for a number of years before he went on the road. And we always looked at Christopher like the son that we would never have this side of Armageddon. So his death was particularly tragic.
It was excruciating for all of our family members, especially his parents. Christopher was on his way to the Kingdom Hall to meet his papa and his grandmother for field service, and his car hit a patch of ice and slid into an oncoming car. He died instantly. This was so difficult on us. Our hearts were broken and our spirits were nearly crushed. It actually rendered me speechless. Even to beg for the groanings unuttered became very difficult. I didn't speak to Jehovah for 3 days, but I was listening.
What do you mean by listening?
I remember when we were all together as a family, and my sister just happened to say that Christopher had been cremated. We were there making arrangements for the funeral, and it just hit me so hard. It just hit hard enough that I fell down, and I just cried. I laid there on the floor, and I thought about perhaps maybe Mary felt this way when she said, "Lord, if you'd only been here, this wouldn't have happened." But as I laid there, I could hear my sister say, "Go get her Bible, read her favorite scripture." And so Jay did. He turned to Psalm 91, a psalm that I had already memorized, and now I began to hear Jehovah's voice.
So was this listening to Jehovah a one-time occurrence?
No, by no means. I really had to now do my research. So I searched for every article on the resurrection. I searched for every scripture on comfort. And I meditated on the artwork, the pictures in the publication. I remember one particular scripture that really touched my heart. It was from Psalm 56, verse 8. And in there it said, "You keep track of my wandering. Do collect my tears from your skin bottle. Are they not recorded in your book?" And I thought about Jehovah taking such notice of us, keeping track, watching over, even collecting every tear and recording each of them. That truly made me draw close to Jehovah.
So you continued to listen to Jehovah by looking at comforting material from the publications. Was there a specific article you think of?
There was an article. It was about a delicate flower that had been bent over after a rainstorm, the kind of cloudburst that would send humans and animals running for shelter. But not this flower. Here it was, intact, bent over but unbroken and still rooted. I thought about us in that same way. The article said that we can no more avoid losing a loved one than this flower could uproot itself and run for cover. It had to endure it. But the article spoke a great deal about hope and about faith. Hope is our anchor, and hope is our preserver of our spirituality. And faith, James chapter 1, verse 3, stated in there that faith, when it succeeds, we're able to endure. And so that's exactly what happened. It softened the grief. And so like this flower, we too would stand up and smile one day. And we did. I remember the first time I smiled inside, and I thought, oh, Jehovah, you truly are a healer of hearts.
So did you do something else?
Now I started looking for some of the artwork in the publications. And one particular picture I found was of a shepherd who had gone into a bramble bush and rescued a lamb. He was lost. He pulled him out, threw him over his shoulders, and held on to him. And I thought, what a safe place to be, such security. I decided to take the picture and to print it out and just enlarge it a little bit. But what I didn't see on the publication page, I saw when I enlarged it, and that there were scratches on the shepherd's face. And I thought what that shepherd had gone through to go in the bramble bush and pull him out. And then I thought about Jehovah as our great shepherd and the lengths that he went to rescue us, even at the cost of pain for himself. Now I was listening and drawing back close to Jehovah.
So then, what did you do with these articles and the pictures?
So now I decided to print them all out. The articles, the pictures, and the scriptures, and I displayed them on my desk for quite some time. But I put them in a big envelope, or like a file, and I thought that was Jehovah's sympathy card to me.
We knew we had to do something so as not to be swept away by our grief. It's been said that grief is an arduous journey, but one that we cannot avoid. It's not a place where we live, but a passage, as it were. And we know that even though grief never goes away, it does change over time. That's because Jehovah made our hearts to heal, and so in time, that's what we did.
Yeah, he sure did. It's not about the lack of faith. It's simply the price of love. We loved Christopher, and we miss him.
It wasn't like we were leaving him behind. Sometimes that's how you feel when you lose a loved one. But in reality, we know that Christopher is in Jehovah's memory. And as the righteous God, Jehovah never forgets his loyal ones. Christopher was one of them. So we're confident that we're going to see him again. And that's what helps us not to be, as it were, looking always in the rearview mirror, but looking ahead to the time when we will be with him in paradise.
You know, Jehovah truly kept his promises, and he carried us through that storm. He gathered up the pieces of our broken hearts and sealed them. And even though this happened 17 years ago, sure, we still have cracks in our hearts, but we know for a certainty those one day will disappear as well in that paradise when we welcome him back home. And so Jehovah truly proved to be my stronghold, my father, and my friend in a profound way. We learn that Jehovah truly does love us and care, protects us, and because he is such a good father, our joy has come back, and we have had such a rich life.
So in all the years we've had the privilege of serving our God, we've always found that no matter what we give Jehovah, no matter what sacrifices we make for him, he always gives us more. You cannot out-generous the most generous person in the universe. And so just as he has blessed us all these many years, we're confident that he will continue to bless us as we transition to our next assignment.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences with us. And may Jehovah continue to be with the two of you as you now continue your full-time service as special pioneers. And may you be able to apply the principles that you have just mentioned so that Jehovah can continue to guard your hearts.
Thank you.